All right, I am documenting my garden. Welcome to It's Flat Not Round Gardens. This is our patio area. This is usually where I start my day. This is a little flower bed that we're not sure what we're going to do with. There's a couple volunteer sunflowers right here. Some Mexican primrose that's already blooming. You can see the purple blooms. Yay. There's a big, what is that? That's a dinner plate hibiscus. And there's a fern that I found growing. I wanted to have two of them, so I dug that one up. And I dug this one up last year. You can see how big it got, so I upped it into a much bigger pot. And this is my staghorn fern I bought about 3 years ago, and it's in a small pot, and I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I got to get it out of there before it gets too big, because I put one in a hanging pot a long time ago, and it turned into that. And you can see that there is no pot, and yeah, there's a bird living right there. My topiary that I just repotted, it was in a terracotta pot, and it kept sucking up way too much water, so I put this asparagus fern in it that was, I don't know, in another pot. What else we got? Oh, my Christmas cactus. And these are coleus that I started from seed. If you don't know what coleus is, I'll show it to you later. These are all the seedlings that I'm not sure what to do with yet. This is dill, cucumber, cilantro. These are seedlings. These are going to be Chinese lanterns, Anaheim peppers. These are my ornamental peppers, which I started from seed that we saved. And in the flower bed here, we have a whole bunch of violets. No, not pansies, but the other one. Yeah, violets or violas that reseeded, and they just came up. And then these are all zinnias that I started from seed, marigolds that I started from seed, and then I put in here after I mended the bed. And you might be able to see it. I'm probably down here, you can see it a little better. Everything that's coming up in between are all seedlings of various wildflower seeds that I had a package of, and I planted. There's a good example. There's a whole bunch of little seedlings coming up. Maybe some weeds, but oh well. I think that's Sweet Williams. I cut those back in the fall, and they seem to be just fine. They came back. This is my sedum, or my cactusy stuff that's in this crazy little pot with this funny little thing I bought. And this is my good luck gargoyle. There's a nice little Japanese maple that kind of looks like weed, people ask. And this is the ornamental peppers that I overwintered, and it's actually really pretty because it gets yellow, purple, orange, red fruits when it's in full bloom and growing. That's a house plant. It'll cover the pot by the middle of summer. I do that every year. Various other plants. This I overwintered. This is a green variety of the same thing with some marigolds around it, and you can see everything that's coming up in this pot are seeds that are desirable. Some thyme. This is my rosemary. Spearmint. This is my Mexican rock rose. It will bloom here probably in about 3 months. You prune it back like that every year. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I got more herbs over here that I dug up out of someone else's yard. I got lemon balm, pineapple sage, and oregano. This is my house plant that I had growing next to on my end table next to the bed. It was a fern, and I cut it all back and repotted it, and it's just sitting there until it gets some leaves going. And then here's my orchids. I got some in the house, but they're all in bloom, so When I'm done enjoying them, they'll come back out here in the garden. This is red twig maple that I planted about 3 years ago. And then Heidi decided she wanted me to move it, and that's impossible, so it stays. These are, I don't remember, it's like a vine with these beautiful red flowers, and I've overwintered them 2 years now. This will be the 3rd year, I think. These are all bananas. And something somebody carved out of, like, I don't know, a coconut, like a palm tree. You can see at the bottom that they carved something out of that, I believe, or something along those lines. These are all my bananas. I got bananas over here. And this is the pool equipment, whatever. Let's see what else. There's a whole bunch of daylilies in here. I planted some sunflowers in here. There's 3 of them. Just for something to do. More violets. Or pansies. Pansies, that's it. Pansies that came up from seed. You can see them. Ajuga. This is kind of pretty. This is my ajuga. These are some, can't remember the name of that, but I like it. You get the variegated leaf. Smoke bush or something along those lines. And then these are more marigolds that I grew from seed. I transplanted them out here. They're doing wonderfully. These are all daffodils and some alliums. There's another one of those plants that I can't remember. So it's balanced. Tropical plants that I had to cover all the time when it freezes, but they have the most beautiful blooms when they do bloom. There's another one at the other end that's red. This one's yellow. This bed I put together last year. This bed was always here, but I didn't, it had a whole bunch of junk in it. It originally had hydrangeas. But anyways, this is where I'm going to plant all my peppers and maybe some tomatoes. It gets really hot because south is that way, and it gets really hot from the sun from that direction. And then I cleaned up the path this year. It was all covered with, there was a plant that was right along this edge, and it was a trip hazard because you had to walk in between this and the brick that I installed last year to make this bed look presentable. It's my shed. Let me zoom out. It's locked, so you get to look through the window. And there's my grow area and all my tools. And this is the disaster zone where I just kind of stage everything, compost, whatever. This is my fig tree that we get lots of figs and make fig jam from. So these are all purple azaleas. They're done blooming, so I'm gonna have to hedge them. Oh, this is the stuff that was growing along the path I was showing you. And I moved it over here. It'll get about 8 to 10 inches taller, but it made a good trip hazard. Here's some of those purple azaleas that I dug up and moved. I'm trying to fill in this section right here so that they match all of that. This is my Cleveland pear that I'm still waiting for to bloom. It hasn't come out yet. Probably still because I transplanted it this year. It's a little bit behind. There's a Japanese maple I had in a pot for the last 4 years, and I just planted it today, like about an hour ago. There's a statue that we inherited with the house, a bunch of hydrangeas. Here's some pots I just planted. Heidi went to Costco and got one of those bags, you know, it's like 2 flower pots in a bag, and it comes with like 2 different varieties of plants, and you plant it according to the little pattern, and it's going to make like some pretty flower design. Here's a red Japanese maple. Well, this is more like a tree. It's not a dwarf variety. Gets the red leaves. There's another bed, and then I put another one of these. I don't remember, but that's to match those 2 over there, so there's some kind of balance. There's some various plants in here. This is gardenia that smells really good when it's blooming. And I got this little path back here that I had some extra rocks, so I just kind of threw them in there for now. But this whole hedge needs to be trimmed back. And it's probably about 8 feet tall right now, and it can probably get up to 10. And it makes a nice barrier so you don't have to see the neighbors. Swimming pool area. And I'll look back at the patio and the shed. Here's our little pig planter, which we like so much. And these are coleus. This is what I have in seedlings that I showed you on the picnic table or the patio table. This is coleus. It's in the mint family, and it's grown basically for the leaves. And there's a flower of some kind that reseeded. A bunch of sedums around the bottom. They're always there every year. Some more sunflowers I planted, 1, 2. And then these are what we put in after the storm. We've always wanted palm trees, so we got some palmetto or sag. Can't remember the name, but they're called palmetto palms. So we had those 2 installed, and they're actually starting to move. I don't know how many leaves we'll get this year. This flower bed's been here as long as we've been here, and it is just chock full of stuff. This is all like some kind of garlic or allium, but it's really cool when it blooms. Here's my headless bird bath that I put on display. Kind of reminds me of the Reichstag after the Russians shot it to pieces. These are all Siberian iris. They're about ready to pop, so you'll see those here shortly. The blooms don't last very long, but they're absolutely gorgeous, and the green is very lush and goes well next to the pool. More plants. These are black-eyed Susans that I found growing over there next to the heater or the air unit, and they were just reseeded, and they kept growing, and it didn't matter if I mowed or weeded, they just kept coming back, so I felt sorry for them. Dug them all up, and we had a whole bunch of black-eyed Susans last year. Here's a different kind of coleus. You can kind of get the idea of what coleus looks like. And this tree right here is a, oh, what is it? It's a crepe myrtle, and it grew from a seedling, and I kept it and let it grow because it's like the tree variety, and it will add a little shade to the pool right here, break up the landscape, and kind of balance those 2 miniature telephone poles. Speaking of telephone poles, this is the telephone pole. That's the telephone pole. And then walk over towards the garden. This is all kind of still in a state of don't know what to do with it. There's a gate that goes out to the front yard. This is a palm tree that has been growing here since we moved in, but then I finally realized what it was, so I'm trying to get it to grow up and provide a little shade back here. And my lawn looks like crud because it's full of, what do you call them? Mole crickets, and mole crickets eat the roots and cause big bare spots. More of that azalea, more of that azalea. There's a different variety right there. This is the live oak that I planted this year. I got this live oak for $100, which is a bargain for what you get, and I planted it. And the old live oak is right here. You can see the size of the stump. It's a big old stump, and that's what fell and knocked down the fence. Gardenias. That's a loquat tree, which I don't think I'll be able to harvest because it's too tall. And then all of this brick right here I found in the garden area when I was rototilling, so I had to stop and figure out where they were all at and dig them out by hand before I could continue to rototill. More Siberian iris. I just transplanted those when I was building this bed because this flower bed was 2 bricks high, and what I did is I expanded it to go around the palm trees, as you see, and I moved the extra bricks over here to define the beds in the yard a little bit better. And then there's a big hydrangea. This is the lace leaf hydrangea. It blooms pretty early. more various plants. So this is the garden. I'll show it to you real quick because it's getting dark. It's my fancy gate. Very deadly. You can get tetanus from it. Green beans that will hopefully grow up this horse wire fence. More fencing. I got this all from my friend Danny. These are, I think, Brussels sprouts. Dill I threw in. More dill. These are all peas, bok choy, spinach, and Swiss chard. More bok choy. More Brussels sprouts. They'll probably get too big and I'll have to thin them. Cucumbers. I needed 4 plants. It should be enough for what I need. Arugula. Butter lettuce. More arugula. More spinach. More Swiss chard. These are called cow peas. I watched a video on a guy that said that he will always have it growing in his garden, and I understand why now. More spinach and Swiss chard. Because south is that direction, I put some of my leafy greens over here so that they would get afternoon shade. Maybe they will last longer into the growing season. These are romaine lettuce. More bok choy. These are my radishes. I think there's like 4 different kinds of radishes, or whatever they gave me in my Doomer pack. And these are all carrots, which desperately need to be thinned, but I'll figure that out later. More carrots. As you can see, this is a little different. More carrots. And then right there I just planted some Uzbek carrots I just got today. They're yellow. And then these are Brussels sprouts and cauliflower. And what I did is I threw marigold seeds in here and there just to add color and hopefully drive the pests nuts. These are all turnips, rutabagas, 2 types of turnips, rutabagas, and I can't remember the last one, kohlrabi. When I was putting seedlings together, I lost track of what was what, and I have no idea what all of this is, so I gave it lots of room. But I think there's some okra in here. My squash, more sunflowers, more beans. Maybe these will be harvested later because they're kind of in the shade. My dill, more kohlrabis, more peas, and there are onions in front all along here, and more sunflowers on the other side of the fence. And there is a look at the garden. Everything where the landscape fabric is has not been put into production yet. It's coming. I got more seeds obviously growing. And we'll just keep looking along here. So, not too bad. There is weeds everywhere, but they're small at this point. And I will have to hand weed those. But it's fun because you get to stay out here. I threw this cardboard down to control the weeds and give me a path to walk along here. And if we go out underneath my palm tree, this is a flower bed that looked like crap about a week ago, and I just dug it all up. And I have nothing in it yet, but I think I'm going to plant it with a whole bunch of tomatoes that my friend Danny's bringing over. And that will be my tomato garden, I believe. This is my compost pile that I get away with, even though it's in the front yard, because you can't really see it from the street. So I'm using that as a compost pile for now. Anyways, bye-bye. Thank you for touring It's flat, not round gardens.